Guy doesn't believe in ghosts. Knock in the night. Goes back to sleep. It's the belief in the ghost that gives it the power. If I don't believe in depression, I believe in feeling depressed.
Okay. All right. You all heard it from the man himself. He does not believe in depression. Let's get it. Let's see what else he has to say. But before we do, you know how it goes.
Get your mind right
and your body tight.
Get your mind right and your body tight.
Get your mind right and your body tight. Okay, here it is. We're gonna listen to Andrew Tate's interview with Tucker Carlson on depression. He has a lot to say, and me as a doctor, I have a lot to say too. This man does not believe in depression. He thinks you can be sad, but depression as a disease, he said, absolutely not. Let's see if he can convince me. And on top of that, you know I have to add a little medical in there. I have to add my own personal theories about depression and even my own experience of depression. Hang on in there. It's a 7-minute interview. We're reacting to it. And I'm going to have to throw in a little bit of Dr. D. Nice Wisdomteethinger isms to go along with it. All right, Mr. Tate, what else do you have to say about depression? Tell me what you're adding to the conversation. Let's get it.
Kind of man who's proud of himself. And if that makes him the kind of person that resists slave programming, I'm always going to be public enemy number one.
You've said depression isn't real, or it's not, as the way we describe depression isn't accurate. What do you think of depression?
When I say depression isn't real, that really upset the world, especially the liberals, because they all live on medication, right? When I say depression isn't real, I'm saying that because I don't believe in things that can take away power from me. If I believed in depression, I would have been depressed in jail. But I can't be depressed if I don't believe in it. If you don't believe in ghosts, how can you be haunted? You have two people in a haunted house. One believes in ghosts, one doesn't. There's a knock in the night. One wakes up, calls an exorcist, is terrified, looks for a ghost. The other guy doesn't believe in ghosts. Knock in the night, goes back to sleep. It's the belief in the ghost that gives it the power. If I don't believe in depression, I believe in feeling depressed. Sure, we're humans, we have emotions. Sometimes we feel depressed, sometimes we feel happy. I don't believe in the idea of becoming a depressed person who has depression.
Okay, now I have to stop right here and say, Dr. Dean, I had depression once. I did at 17 years old, my sophomore year in college. I had depression, like suicidal depression. And honestly, he has some points here, even from a person that has had depression. He has a point there if you don't believe in it. There's a belief part. Never underestimate the power of suggestion. I made it out of that depression. Thank you, Jesus. And let's keep going. Let's hear what Mr. Tate has.
I don't believe in that. I don't think that's possible for me. So if I don't believe in it, how can it happen? I don't believe in depression. So why would I not adopt the mindset that makes me the most capable predator I can possibly be? Why not adopt the mindset that makes me as competent and as fearsome as possible?
Okay.
If you have to install software in your own mind, why would I not install software that makes me capable of not only driving a Bugatti and flying on private jets, but sitting in
I mean, there is a mental part of it, how you think. That's why therapy can help with depression. If therapy couldn't help, then what's the point of even doing therapy? You just need a drug or a brain transplant. There is a mental there's a mental aspect to the mental illness of depression. Make that make sense, Dr. D. Nice, but it is. You get what I'm saying.
a Romanian dungeon covered in cockroaches. I need to be able to do all of it. So why would I believe in something that made me incapable? I don't believe in depression because I think that even the belief in and of itself, when you feel depressed, you'll start to consider, maybe I have depression. Then you go see a psychiatrist who tells you you have depression. Then they want you on pills. It's the belief that goes down the spiral. If I feel sad, I go, I'm depressed.
Of course, near the end, we will talk about some things that you can use to help depression. Let's keep listening to Andrew, though.
Today, I'll be fine tomorrow.
So why, I suspect you're right, or what you're saying is pointing toward truth. That's my personal view. But even if I disagreed with you, I disagree with you. Why is that so offensive, what you just said?
Well, that's what's interesting, because when I said depression wasn't real, the number of people who would attack me defending depression, this is why I didn't understand.
Right.
You say depression isn't real, but depression's ruined my life, and it's super real, and it ruined my life, and I lost my marriage.
I love his typing. That thing vigorously, keyboard warrior-ing. Okay. All right. Okay, Andrew, keep going. Keep telling us what you got.
I'm like, if I told you it wasn't real, you should be coming to me saying, tell me how it's not real. Please help me with my depression. Why are you trying to convince me that it's real? Why are you sticking up?
I'm going to tell you about an experience that I had with somebody that tried to convince me about their depression. Here we go.
And why are you defending depression?
And why would I adopt the thinking of someone who's sad? Why would I? You're going to convince me to take your worldview. You just told me your wife left you, you're fat, and you want to kill yourself. And you want me to sit here and go, with my perfect life, and go, you know what? I want to think like this guy. You're out your mind. I don't believe in it. And because I don't believe in it, it's made me the kind of person who can't become depressed. And the reason they don't like me attacking that is because depression is a fantastic way to subdue a population.
Okay, before he goes on, I have to tell you all this story. It's exactly what he was saying. This girl, she tried to convince me that I needed to be depressed as much as she. That's why. Anyway, here's what happened. We were in a discussion group. Actually, it was at church. And I just told you all, I've experienced depression before. And part of it, I said, you know, at some point you have to make a decision that this is not for you. That's what Andrew Tate is doing. And actually, that is what I did. It's like, you know what? I walked around, almost wanted to try to kill myself for 6 months or more. Maybe longer than that. When that was removed from me, I said, never, ever again. And I'm telling you, lots of things had happened. There was an incident, actually, when I was in school. I was 17 years old. I'm not ready to share it yet. I promise we're going to get back to Andrew, because there's some other points that he's made that is a good stepping stone to talk about depression. When I was in school going through this depression, I said, I'm not going to do this again. Once I made it out of it, and it was a pretty sad thing, pretty bad thing that happened to me that made me get depressed. It was an incident. And after I made it out of that, I've had worse things happen to me, worse things that made me sad initially. And I used that sadness to remind myself, no, we're not going back there. We're going to deal with this situation. And that's kind of what Andrew Tate is saying. Don't just wallow in the sadness. And I'll tell you a little bit about what happens with sadness when you wallow in it. But going back to the story, I experienced depression. This girl in this class discussion, we'll call her Jill. Jill, I said the exact same thing that I just started to share with you, that, you know, I don't allow myself to get depressed. I can actually snap out of it. I didn't use those words, but you know, that's the term that I can snap out of it. And she called me and she set up a lunch date. And I was like, oh, she wants to be my friend. No. She wanted to talk about my statements about depression. A whole lunch date. We sat there and she didn't skip a beat. We had our lunch. We sat at the table and Jill began to tell me about how she had depression in school and in college. And I know she did. She was very genuine, and how her boyfriend, now husband, had to pretty much carry her through the whole thing. He had to help her just exist as a human being because it was so bad. And there's no such thing as snapping out of depression. She wanted me to validate her feelings on depression. and was not willing to validate my experience with depression. My experience was I snapped out. Well, no, the Lord helped me. Let's just be honest. That's a story for another day. I snapped out of depression with the Lord's help, and I said I'll never go back there. Her depression was one where she was there, and that's where she lived. The two can be true. She did not want to accept that was my own personal experience. And some people just really enjoy the identity of depression. I'm not saying that there are not real things going on in the brain. There's also something about just laying and wallowing in it and embracing and hugging yourself in it. This is me, and this is who all I can be. Okay, that's a sidebar. Andrew, what else you got? Keep talking.
Right? If everybody's depressed, it's hard to have a revolution. You're depressed. Oh, they've locked us all in our houses. I don't want to go outside anyway. I'm sad. Right? So depression's a fantastic tool of population control. They have no problem with you being depressed. They have a problem with you being the opposite, principled and energetic. No, you don't want principled, energetic people. That's a problem. Bunch of depressed people, easy. If you had to invade a country, would you rather the opposing army?
I mean, it's a whole long interview. I have it linked in the comment section. Of course, don't forget while you're here to go ahead and like the video, right? Why would you not like the video? Here we go. Like it. Thumbs up. Like it. Press subscription and turn on your notifications, you know, when I'm going live and just talking about things that may be of interest to you, because Wisdomteethinger age, depression is epidemic and contagious right now in your age group. Let's get into it. Keep going, Andrew.
Be principled and energetic or depressed?
I'll tell you, I would not want to be invaded by a cheerful army.
Absolutely.
That's scary.
They're having too much fun, right? You want them all to be depressed. So
a morose army is easier to defeat. I agree.
Absolutely. So depression is a defended idea. You're not allowed to even talk about it. You're not allowed to help people get out of it, right? They like the idea of a depressed population. And this is what I say to people. Now, I'm not stupid. I understand like PTSD is real. I understand mental health is real. I'm not saying that, but I say if you're an 18-year-old boy or 18-year-old man and your life is pretty much okay, bacteria didn't steal your eyesight, which could have happened. You never had a car crash and lost both of your legs, which could have happened. You're actually very fortunate. And you wake up and you say, I'm depressed. I think you're an idiot. I don't think you're depressed. I think you've been psyoped. I think you feel a little bit of
psyoped. Psychological operation on your brain that has convinced you of something that may or may not be correct. Here's the thing, how I look at depression. To me, it's right now, in our society right now, it's like sadness, processed sadness. Like you have processed food. It's like, if you would compare like sex between a husband and a wife to porn. And that to me is how sadness and depression can be related, or even like Apple Jacks to apples. There is baseline sadness that people experience. And when you start wallowing in it and making it all encompassing, almost addicted to the feeling of sadness, addicted to the diagnosis of sadness, the diagnosis of depression, then it becomes this other thing. It becomes processed. The emotion is turned into this other thing that's taken over your life. That's what depression can do. I mean, I've met some people, I don't even know their name good yet. And the first thing I know about them, oh, I have depression, I have anxiety. I don't know. There's something about that that just seems unusual. And this is coming from me. I'm a whole physician. I treat people with depression. I treat people and take care of them and talk to them and understand what's going on. One of the things You know what? We'll hold off. We'll get back into one of the things about our society right now that makes us more susceptible to depression. Let Andrew keep talking.
Depression, and you can fix that by changing your life. I think if you became rich and strong and smart and successful, and you worked hard and you dedicated yourself and you were motivated and you tried your very, very best to become excellent, you probably wouldn't feel depressed anymore.
Exercise,
which means it's
I
not
agree
disease,
with.
is it? So why would you? Well, the only reason you're even saying you have depression is because you believe in it.
So you're arguing for cause and effect. You're saying if you live a certain way, you're going to feel a certain way.
Absolutely, and I also would argue that I think we've evolutionarily, even though I do believe in God, I think that we've designed ourselves and the human has grown into a way where if you feel depressed or sad, I think that's a fantastic trigger or a warning signal to do something. If you were to say to me, Andrew, you have to complete this monumental task. You have to conquer the world.
Think about that.
I would say, okay, but I need a emotional motivation to do that. I need to be unhappy having not completed the task. I need to be uncomfortable, right? If you're uncomfortable being out of shape, you'll get in shape. If you're happy being out of shape, then you're just going to stay out of shape, right? So if you feel a degree of uncomfortableness inside of your mind, I think it's just your mind telling you that something about your life needs to change.
Yes.
You need to get up and change something. God.
Oh, well, that's an interesting perspective. It's the sadness that you feel is a motivation, an opportunity to move. Okay. All right, Andrew. Okay. Keep going. What you got?
Guys would say to me, I'm depressed because I'm fat and I have no girlfriend. And I'd say, no, you have no girlfriend and you're fat and that's why you're depressed. If you go change those two things, you'd probably be surprised that your disease goes away. I had another guy say he was going to kill himself. I said, listen, it's back when I used to reply to my emails when I was smaller. I said, make me a promise, get a six-pack first.
Of beer?
I said, get a six-pack first, get in fantastic shape, and then do whatever you want. Didn't want to kill himself once he was in fantastic shape.
So he did it?
Yeah.
This is a perfect opportunity to talk about how Fount, of course, you all know it's the 5 keys to wellness and wisdom to help unlock your best. And these, if you're a Wisdomteethinger, you got to know what Fount is. And the T in Fount is for time. Time has 3 parts: sleep, relax, and exercise. Exercise has been shown to help depression. In some cases, even being as good as or better than certain antidepressants. And I'm guessing that's not guessing, that's what happened to this guy that Andrew was saying. He started exercising, he got his gut health back together, and bada boom, bada bang, his depression is better because they've shown it that exercise by itself can help some depression. Of course, exercise by itself can help some depression. There's one thing I do want to say that touch on. Some of the things I really feel that some of the ways we live right now really makes us more susceptible to depression. We have a more isolated lifestyle, and humans are meant to live socially. We have a lifestyle where our foods are questionable, and our gut health, our gut health is so important for a good mental state. Vitamin D, we don't even get outside no more. The sun, our body creates vitamin D like out of nowhere. It's photoreceptors, I like to refer to them as, that's on your skin, just creates vitamin D from the sunlight. And we don't go outside anymore. Most of us are vitamin D deficient. And then, of course, we're sitting around all the time. Our lifestyle is more sedentary. We're just hanging out, chilling on the couch. I'm looking over there. I got 2 sons just hanging out, chilling on the couch, playing games. Why can we not be depressed when all these things, our isolation, the food, the vitamin D, the sedentary lifestyle, just kind of psyop us into susceptibility to have depression. Okay, let's keep going. And Let's keep hearing what Andrew's saying.
After before and after, I'll put them on Twitter. Kind of interesting that, isn't it? So how are we going to say we have this disease, which is cause and effect? How are we going to say we have this disease where there's something wrong with you as a man, you have a disease because your life sucks? I mean, I don't think that's true. I think that your life just sucks and you should change it. And another thing I also preach, and this is another thing that's very important, I also think as a man, because life as a man is pain and suffering, and I want to say that because you're never going to be a good man or good at being a man without pain and suffering. You're going to have to go through a bunch of shit and have a terrible life to become a good man. I think you should embrace that.
And he's just saying, man, overall, point blank, plain and simple, life is not easy. Don't expect ease with life. There's going to be pitfalls. There are going to be things that go wrong. It's not going to be happy, happy, joy, joy, skip, skip, skippity doo dah. You have to be able to manage stress, move through things that just don't go right. You got to be able to learn how to do that. Come on. All right, keep going. We're almost done. We've got like another minute.
And accept it. And I think that the correct mental model for men to have is a degree of stoicism and not to be too concerned with even how they feel. If I woke up today happy, I would have done this interview with you. If I woke up today sad,
Judy,
I would have done this interview with you. What's the difference? Why put so much importance on my emotion if certain things must be done? I must work, I must train, I must see Tucker Carlson, I must resist the Matrix.
You've got duties.
I've got things to do. So why are we going to sit around and talk about how I feel if it doesn't even affect how I act? And as a man, it shouldn't, because there's too much to do. And the masculine world is hyper-competitive. This is another thing most people don't understand.
Totally agree.
It's hyper-competitive out here. All the women want a few men at the top. The Ferrari, you don't want a Ferrari to drive fast. You want a Ferrari because other men want a Ferrari and can't have one.
Okay, he's talking, Andrew Tate talks mostly to young men. These things can be extrapolated to a girl too.
Hyper-competitive. So if you're competing against every other man for every dollar you make, every girl you see, the house you live in, the car you drive, the life you live, you're not going to be able to compete with the person who performs regardless of how they feel if you only compete when you feel like competing. Right? Because there's men like me out there who will be sad every day and outcompete you regardless. I don't care how I feel. I will still win. And that's the kind of mindset you need to adopt. So when a man comes...
You've got a job to do. Stop whining. Go to work.
Completely.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely.
Yes.
So when men say, oh, but I feel sad. Who cares? The world doesn't care. All the men who are out here to destroy you and take your girl don't care. So why do you care? Like the person who should care least is you. You're the only person who wakes up every day who should have a genuine vested interest in improving your life. Nobody else wakes up and wants to improve your life, only you. So if nobody else cares about how you...
I have a important stuff for you at the end. I'm gonna tell you how I never allowed myself to get depressed again here.
Feel? Why do you care? So my argument also for depression is...
Producers, imagine having samples that make you react.
You know what? Y'all know Dr. D Nice don't have that special YouTube where you have the where you can skip the commercials. I'm getting there though. You'll see we at 1,000 subscribers. We're getting there. We'll have it soon. Trust and believe. Here we go.
Fine. Have you trained today?
Have you exercised?
That doesn't change what you should
Told you, exercise helps depression.
Do with your life, depressed or not. And I don't say this because I'm an eternally happy person. I say this because I've experienced all ranges of human emotion. I was in a Romanian jail cell with cockroaches crawling all over me as I slept. I never missed a day of training. I wouldn't say I was particularly happy, but push-ups must be done. So they got done.
You're very close to your brother.
Correct.
Okay. That's the part, it's a whole 2-hour interview. I have it linked in the comment section. I want to end with some hope. I want to end with the secret to how I was so depressed as a college student. And I ain't allowed that stuff to get me again, man. Here we go. It's our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Y'all know what's up. Here we go. Let me show y'all this verse. Let's therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day is has enough trouble of its own. I mean, there's enough stuff going on that I don't need to be worried. I'm not worrying myself about what's going to happen. It is what it is. I have no control over it. And I promise you, that's how I live my life. I try my best not to worry about what's going to happen. I do my best. I pray about it, and I let God take care of the rest. We can't control everything. A couple more Bible verses. Well, 3 more. This one. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love the God and to those who are called according to his purpose. I mean, like, what else do you need from that? Everything's going to work together for good. Things may not be going the way you expected. Don't be worrying about it. God is going to help it work out. You love him. He's going to help you work it out in the end. I promise you, it's because of my experience with depression why I now speak about depression. I've gone to Cornell. I've gone to high schools and churches speaking about depression. Imagine if I had gone ahead and myself back then. A lot of people wouldn't have had this message of hope from depression. All right, here we go. Next one. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear, but when you're tempted, he will always provide a way that you can endure. I mean, like, what? Every single thing, God would give you a way to endure. Everybody has been through there's never been a person on this planet that has not been through what you're going through. And God got you. He got you. And I believe that 100. And the next one, you all see the Bible verses where it's taken from up there. This last one is from Isaiah 26, verse 3. You will keep in perfect peace those whose mind are steadfast because they trust in you. I trust God, and he keeps me at peace. That's plain and simple. There's no secret to that other than God. If you scroll through your YouTube, you can find so many people other than myself that testify how God has rescued them from depression. Listen, I appreciate you all for dropping by and watching the videos. Don't forget to smile. Jesus loves you. And if you're suffering from depression, Andrew Tate has a point here and there. And I do. The bottom line is, I don't know if I fully agree with him. Depression is real. And there is hope. So he's right and he's wrong at the same time. Is that too Switzerlandish? Well, that's how I feel. It is what it is. All right, we out. You all have an amazing weekend, okay?
Your game's all tight.
Bounce.
Get your mind right
and your
body
body
tight.
tight.
Get your mind right and your body tight.